Hey guys, Jack Beach here from Dynastic Dating, and I'm gonna be sharing with you today the exact strategy to go from single to a relationship in 90 days or less. And it's this exact strategy that I use for all my clients. I've worked with over 130 guys at this point, helping them get into relationships. And I just want to share with you how I do it for them. So hopefully you can learn from this, apply this, and get into a relationship with the kind of woman you want as well, which is obviously crucial. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So this is you right now, single. It sucks. I know we're all supposed to say we like being single, but let's face it, we don't really. And where you want to get to is into a relationship with the right kind of woman, of course, which is really, really crucial. Now, I have basically developed a system which has turned getting into a relationship basically a science. And this is what makes up the Dynastic Dating program. And you'll have often heard people say that there's a lot of luck involved with meeting the right woman and getting into a relationship. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. There is an element of God's will, chance, fate, whatever you want to say, that leads you to meet the right kind of woman. I mean, I never imagined to meet my wife where I did, traveling in Malaysia, and didn't expect to meet her in the place I did, and look what happened. But the reason why luck is important is because luck is where preparation meets opportunity. If I go back to my own story, I was starting conversations with women, I was talking to women, I was looking for opportunities, and whilst I was traveling, I was actually creating a lot of opportunities because there was a lot of single women traveling, which one of them turned out to be my wife. So I was prepared for the opportunities, which I'm going to go through in a minute, how you can prepare for those opportunities. And I was also creating opportunities. And that led me to my marriage, right? And this is what I've kind of reverse engineered to make up the Dynastic Dating program, so that, so many of my clients do end up in relationships. 3 in October. 3 clients ended up in a relationship by the end of October. So let's look into it. Let's start off first with preparation, because if you're not prepared for the opportunities that come, you're not going to be able to take them. And I've kind of broken down like 3 main areas of where you need to prepare to take the opportunities that come. The first of which is what I call building a rejection-proof mindset. And this is the idea that, whenever you're going to be talking to women, there's always going to be that inherent fear of rejection that's associated with it. And you need to be able to overcome that, because if you're not confident enough to be able to go talk to women in any setting, you're not going to create any opportunities, full stop. There's more to this as well, because the first step of relationships is to have a good relationship with yourself. If you don't have a good relationship with yourself, you're going to struggle to have relationships with other people, unfortunately. The second of these areas that you need to prepare for is what I call communicating like a king. And this is your communication style that means you can build attraction. And the third area that you need to prepare for to make sure you're taking the opportunities that come is how to make a woman keep falling in love with you day after day and year after year. And this is kind of my relationship model that I teach people, so that you're not just kind of left high and dry, yes, getting dates, connecting on those dates, but not able to move that into a relationship. The whole Dynastic Dating program is built with relationships and creating relationships in mind. And it's designed that way. That's why it gets so much success compared to other programs which don't factor that into them. So let's get into exactly what some of the things you need to do for this are. So the first area, which is building a rejection-proof mindset and kind of really understanding, yourself, building your own self-confidence, things like that. The first thing you really need to do is understand what attraction is. Like, if you don't understand what makes up attraction, you're not going to be able to attract women in the first place, and you're not going to be able to be the kind of man and present yourself in the kind of way that's going to build attraction with the woman you want. You also need to know your own purpose, because a relationship should never really be your ultimate purpose. I think for most people, it is generally part of that. And purpose in itself is something that's generally revealed over time. It's not like, I'm most guys at 22, 24, 25 don't actually know their full purpose. And if you do, you're going to be pretty stagnant as you get older. Your purpose should reveal over time, but it should always be aligned. And figuring out what you want right now is really crucial to finding the woman that suits that. Following on from this is also understanding your life path, understanding where you want to go forward through life. If you don't have that in the right kind of dynamic, you're not going to be able to find the right women for you. It's also knowing how to start a conversation everywhere, right? Like, how can you actually start these conversations with women the right way? And I have 6 strategies that I teach people. You can actually find these in one of my free guides. Knowing why beautiful women intimidate you and how to beat that. Now, this is really crucial to particularly building that rejection-proof mindset, because there are specific reasons why we can talk fine with men, we can make friends with men, but we can't necessarily bring that same kind of charisma to women. And until you can do that, until you can kind of understand why, like, maybe intimidate is the wrong word here, but like why women kind of make you feel uncomfortable, you can't relax and be yourself, you're not going to be able to really build dynamic attraction as a result. There's also what I call kind of your get out of jail free card, which is how to never get rejected by women. If you know when an interaction is not going right, because they're not all going to go right, like even the best seductionist in the world isn't going to get 100% record, and you kind of don't want them all to go right anyway, because if you're doing that, you're not going to be like authentically communicating, which we'll talk about more here. Which means that you are going to be attracting any woman rather than the women you actually have a future with. But how, when these interactions don't go right, how can you make sure that you remain in control of that interaction so it doesn't leave you feeling like, oh, I got rejected, right? It feels like more like, okay, this is just not going right. This is not someone I want to be with. How do I manage to negotiate that so that there's no kind of social fallout as well? Part of this as well, part of having a rejection-proof mindset is knowing how to read a room and identifying receptive women. Certain women are going to be more open, some, not every woman's going to be single. How can you read these signs? How can you read the signs that women are attracted to you that gives you the best chance of success there? And a big part of this is, of course, overcoming nice guy tendencies. Guys who tend to struggle with women tend to embody, I'd say probably 80% of my clients, maybe 70%, have some level of nice guy tendencies, which is stopping them from being able to go after what they want with women. And obviously there's some mindset shifts that require kind of taking place here. And if you kind of fix this out, you're doing the first inner work with yourself that gives you the right framework to kind of like the right foundation for the opportunities that you get as well. And for like before you ever meet women, right? If you get this stuff right, this matters. It gives you that right foundation. Now, the second area of your preparation that you have to do to be able to take opportunities with women and get dates and obviously get into a relationship is your communication style. Now, I like to call this communicating like a king, because you want to kind of have this dynamic where you are almost like the king in a court, which is rather than you're putting on a show, because there's 2 kind of main focuses of attention within a court. They're in the king's court historically. Obviously, I'm using this as a metaphor. There is the jester and there's the king. And the jester, he puts on a performance, he puts on a show, and he gets a lot of attention from people. He doesn't necessarily get their respect. Whereas the king, he's there to facilitate the process. He's there to facilitate the enjoyment, and he just sits back and enjoys himself, and he gets a lot more respect while still being the center of attention in a different kind of way. And that's the kind of dynamic we want to have. A lot of men try and perform for women, and that's completely the wrong dynamic. It kind of sub-communicates insecurity and a bunch of other things too. Now, there's 2 main areas for good communication that you need to do. There is sexual communication and building sexual chemistry, and then there's security and building that sense of trust and comfort within women. And we can break down communication into these two areas. And obviously, just as an aside, communication is all communication is sharing our internal world with the external world. So this isn't just the way you're talking as well. This is body language, this is physical touch, this is the sub-communication. What are the things that your actions are saying between the lines? These all contribute to this, which is why it's so important to get it right. But some aspects of building sexual chemistry are things like deep eye contact, making her, being able to flirt, to make sure you're teasing her, making sure she understands that this romantic vibe to these interactions, both when you're first meeting them and on dates. It's using physical touch in a characterful way. How do you do this without overstepping the boundaries? How do you respect her as an individual and build that necessary sexual chemistry without coming across like a creep? It's body language cues and being able to use your body language to sub-communicate certain things. There's characterful escalation as well. How do you make sure things don't get stagnant and then she feels like things are just fizzling out? These are really, really important, because if you don't bring that sexual chemistry, she'll see you as a friend. Okay, but there's the right way to do that and there's the wrong way to do that, which is really, really important to know the difference. But of course, there's this second area of things. And, most people only focus on sexual chemistry in terms of pickup artists and other dating gurus. They don't talk about how important it is for women to feel secure within a relationship too. You need both. And this is what conventional dating advice tells you. Neither of them, we have pickup artistry only focusing on this. We have conventional dating advice only focusing on this. And for some reason, nobody realizes you need to blend the two, right? So part of how you make her feel secure, how you make her feel comfortable with you. And again, this, by the way, should come after building the sexual chemistry, because you want to make sure she understands you're seeing this as a romantic interaction. It's very hard to transition from friends to romance, whereas it's just difficult to do that. You want to lead that and then build the two areas of these two areas of sexual communication. So security is things like making her feel understood. It's things like emotional listening. Now, be aware, emotional listening is different from active listening. This is a very specific thing that I've not heard anyone else talk about other than myself. It's making her feel special to you, making sure that she feels attracted to you. It's asking deeper questions that make her feel like you can see through her and you're seeing almost into her soul and you're perceiving her. And when you can couple that with the sexual chemistry, that's when women end up wanting to go on second, third, fourth dates with you, wanting to get to know you better, and they feel like you are special to her by the way that you make her feel, right? It's a very important thing. What you feel, she feels. It's really crucial to understand that. And the third area of this preparation is, how do you make women keep falling in love with you day after day and year after year? And, I've been married with my wife for 7 years now. There's a reason for that. And there's a reason that you can, that you can keep that intimacy high over time. And this is what I teach my clients. It's understanding the relationship as a collective ego. This is a really important thing that a lot of people don't understand. The fusion of two individuals into a collective ego and how to manage that. It's how to lay the foundations for a relationship by dating for relationships. Again, this is why I'm talking about how to use these things characterfully, right? You can rush these things and you can do it uncharacterfully and get into sex. You can create a fantasy for women and get them to sleep with you. That's not what we're looking for, right? We need to do this in the right way that lays the foundations for a relationship. And that starts from the very first time you meet her, by the way. It's why her emotions matter. Like, why should you take an interest in your woman's emotions? It probably sounds obvious to people listening at home, but a lot of men get this wrong. It's how to build vulnerability and connection. It's really important to maintain intimacy over time. You can't just pretend to be some alpha caricature. She's going to feel that is a caricature. We all have vulnerable sides. And how to build that, again, in the right way that doesn't decrease attraction, because you can also decrease attraction by putting too much too early. It's how to keep sexual attraction high over time. And this is the key to having an active sex life. As I say, I've been married 7 years and still have a good sex life. There's a reason for that. There's a secret to doing it. It's understanding why women nag and how to limit that. I say limit it because you're never going to get rid of it 100%, but there are reasons why women nag, and knowing why they are and therefore being able to mitigate that is going to make your experience of the relationship better, because it's not just about, this is one of the things a lot of guys, blue pill kind of, thinking, conventional dating advice forgets about how important like your experience of the relationship is. And again, the pickup artist red pill style, they only focus on your experience of the relationship. We have to thread that third way if you want a healthy relationship. But there's not enough guys talking about this. I think I'm one of the few actually doing it, one of the few who's got it down to a science for sure. It's how to assert your boundaries and say no to women, again, in the right way. It doesn't decrease attraction. It doesn't make you come across like a controlling bigot, basically, a bit of an arsehole. We don't want that dynamic here. And when you get all this right, you are prepared for the opportunities that come your way. You're going to be able to be, you'll be in the top 5% of all men in terms of attraction and communication style, in terms of giving women what they want and understanding what's happening. Most people don't understand attraction. Most men don't understand what they're doing. They're left kind of lost in the dark, kind of like, I don't know actually what to do in this dynamic. You will know, and women will respond as a result. Now, the second area of this is your opportunities. Opportunities are basically the ways that you meet women so that you can capitalize on these affairs. The first of these is what I call pulling the thread. Now, pulling the thread is, meeting women is a lot like pulling a bit of a loose thread on your clothing. You might have a little bit of loose thread, kind of there, and if you pull that, it's going to come sometimes straight out. Talking to women's the same. Maybe she's in a relationship. Maybe she's hungover that day. Maybe she's just in a bad mood. There's nothing you can do about that. It's about having the skills that mean that you can take each interaction to its logical conclusion. Because sometimes she will be single, looking for a relationship, and wanting to, attracted to you, right? How can you pull that thread to create instant connections, get numbers, and get dates? Now, this generally, and this can be anywhere, by the way, guys. Coffee shops, farmers markets, anywhere you're out and about in the street, in a park, anything like that. Now, this produces the lowest fidelity of results. Like, kind of pulling the thread is not something that tends to lead to relationships. It can happen. One of my clients met his girlfriend in a grocery store, but the second approach, giving you the skills to do that and being able to do that, makes the second approach much easier, which is a targeted approach. Basically, what you want to do is you want to figure out what you want from life, what kind of woman suits that, and you reverse engineer the kind of locations these women spend their time in. And you go to those locations using all the preparation that you've done, and you build connections, and you get potential relationships from that. This provides a much better fidelity of relationships for sure. This is where I'd say probably like 60-70% of my clients meet their girlfriends from, is from this approach. And I have, again, a specific way of doing this. And the final way is to use online dating, but to do it right. Now, we never want to rely on online dating. It's not a silver bullet. It's not a replacement for these, but it's a very low effort way to meet more women. And that's all it is. It's a way to meet women. So you want to design your profile in the right way to connect with women better, to polarize women, push away the ones you don't want. You need to learn to message, how to message effectively. I have a whole system for that. And by the way, you need that regardless of you using online dating. You're going to be messaging women, whether you get her number, whether you go on a date with her, in between dates, all that stuff. It's crucial in today's world. Do not overlook the importance of being able to message effectively. And if you leverage these three areas, you will get consistent opportunities with women. Now, I haven't gone into too much detail on this because I have another free training on how to do this, which I will link underneath this video. It's called A Free Guide to Meeting Your Ideal Match. I go into each one of these areas in like specific detail. It's about half an hour long, something like that. So I don't want to go, kind of beat over the bush. You can get access to that. I'll link it under this thread. Now, all this means If you put this into play, you create the preparation to give yourself to give you the chance to capitalize on opportunities. And then you couple that with creating more opportunities, and then you times that by being patient. That's how you get into a relationship. This is the science of relationships. You prepare for the opportunities that come your way, you create more opportunities with high quality women, and you stick to the process, and you will end up in a relationship on a long enough time frame. This is why so many of my clients end up in relationships. One of the things a lot of people get wrong is they focus on the patience, it'll happen when it happens, without preparing or creating enough opportunities. Patience is only patience when it's coupled with a plan, guys. You need to have that plan. And if you want a personalized blueprint to give you the right preparation and to have a specific tailored plan for you to create opportunities to meet more women and end up in a committed relationship, please DM me. I'm going to be taking on one more client this month, and anyone who wants to join the Dynastic Dating program as well this month will get a free year-long membership to the Aristocracy, which is my private members group, which means even after the program, you will have feedback from me for over a year. So I hope you guys found this really, really valuable. I'll speak to you next time. Jack out.